Delaware Valley, but that's the weather. That's not the emotions of the football fans here in the Delaware Valley. You got your Mac and Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald. Here we are on Birds 365. The Final Four in the National Football League is set, and the Philadelphia Eagles are part of it because of the beatdown they put on the New York Giants on Saturday at Lincoln Financial Field. Johnny Mac, you and I leading up to the game all week, we're certainly leaning toward the Eagles and believing the Eagles are going to win. Maybe I had a little more consternation because I didn't know if Jalen Hurts was going to be close enough to 100% or what the Eagle play calling was going to be like. By about 4 minutes into that game, I said, all right, this one's over. The New York Giants are not winning this football game. And, man, did the Eagles continue to pile on.
Yeah, they did. You know, the mythical complete game, which doesn't exist, but that's as complete as you can get, especially that late in the season, the divisional round of the playoffs. You're supposed to be facing some significant opposition. But, yeah, I kind of knew that the Eagles' entire offense was going to be on the table. So any consternation I had was only about Jalen's health. I knew they were going to have the whole playbook, and he was healthy enough, to say the least. So, yeah, I mean, the Giants just don't match up with the Eagles, and it's always about matchups in this league, and it'll be a much more difficult matchup this upcoming week. The two best teams will be on the field as they should be in the NFC for the NFC Championship. And we'll have some serious discussion on who should win this game as we go through the week. Giants, no, not ready to compete in any way with this team. And yeah, that was a complete beatdown to the point where the Giants probably wish they could invent time travel, go back, lose to Minnesota, so they wouldn't have to go through that. That's how bad it was.
I don't know if they believe that or not, but I did say this on my CBS show on Saturday night. After the Saturday night results, Dougie P and the Jags hanging in with the Kansas City Chiefs, but coming up short, and Patrick Mahomes pulling some miracles on one leg for the Chiefs to get them back in the AFC Championship game. Only the fifth consecutive year for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes going to the AFC Championship game. That's pretty damn impressive. But then after the Eagle beatdown of the Giants, for me, Saturday night was a win-win-win-win. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, before the season started, Super Bowl aspirations, but they weren't the favorite or anything like that. But you go 14-3. Oh, yeah, you're banking on being in at least the championship game, if not the Super Bowl. So their expectations got reset as the year went on. So they had to win. They needed to win. They won handily. The same for the Kansas City Chiefs. The 4 straight years in the championship game. Oh, you better believe they're banking on going to a fifth. They are. So they won. I actually thought it was a win for the Jags and the Giants. The Jaguars are the worst team in the National Football League the season before. They had the number 1 pick.
Oh, yeah, as a whole, yeah. I mean, you know, it's very emotional when you lose at the end of the season. And I was, you know, joking a little bit with the time travel. But, yeah, I mean, overall, you know, the Giants exceeded just about everyone's expectations. And the only people they didn't exceed were the unrealistic ones. I mean, everybody thought they were in rebuild mode. And rightfully so, by the way they were acting in the offseason. All of a sudden, here they come and not only make the playoffs, but win a game. Overall, yeah, tremendous season for the Giants. Even more so for Jacksonville, I would argue, just because of how deep in a hole they were after the Urban Meyer fiasco, and how down and out that organization was. And to go, you know, win a division title, even though it's a bad division, and go into the playoffs and have one of the largest comebacks in playoff history. And they lost to a team, you know, as you mentioned, all the consecutive championship games and significant favorites to go back again, and so dominant. The Giants weren't expected to win either. But, you know, people started the tropes of it's difficult to win 3 times against a team of, oh, it's hard to play a division rival. They're always closer. So you had all those kind of tropes mixed in from that standpoint. People talk themselves into things. But, yeah, both teams should be very happy with their overall seasons. No question about it.
Saturday, that was the case. Yesterday, not so much. The Buffalo Bills were the preseason favorite to win the whole thing, not just the AFC, but the Super Bowl itself. And they are no longer playing after the beatdown they took at the hands of Cincinnati yesterday. And the Dallas Cowboys, whose expectations are always Super Bowl or bust. Been bust
Yeah,
for
well,
5 years.
yeah.
We got
Those expectations are usually unrealistic.
yeah, a little bit, Cowboy fans. Sorry about that. They get beat by the Niners last night. So the Niners and the Cincinnati Bengals certainly had wins yesterday on the field and compared to expectations. But there's no way you can justify the Bills getting beat at home.
And that was the worst loss to me. I mean, San Francisco was a better team. I know how Dallas people feel, but I thought they played well enough to win in most areas except the quarterback, to be honest, Dallas. But, the quarterback laid an egg in a big spot, and, the 49ers are a very good team. The Bills were in a situation where, look, they've been through a lot with Damar Hamlin, no question about that. But you have a home game, you have a team you're facing down 3 offensive linemen, and they just got beat up. They got beat up. That to me was the worst loss of the divisional round. Now, obviously, it was the home team who was the favorite, so it kind of makes some sense. But yeah, I mean, Buffalo, those flaws showed up during the season. They're way too Josh Allen centric. They throw the ball too much. He's a little bit too reckless. I think their defense is a little bit overrated, especially since they lost Von Miller.
Yep.
And they've obviously had some issues at safety. And the pass rush wasn't there. But to go into a home game and the visitor is down 3 starting offensive linemen, boy, that's putting it on the tee. And they not only got beat, they got dominated, Jody.
Yep.
So that was a terrible performance by Buffalo.
They got and oh, by the way, in a weather game, I know Cincinnati is not exactly Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah.
They know how to deal with the off weather, but nobody's supposed to be better at it than the Buffalo Bills. You got snow everywhere, and Cincinnati looked like the team that was sitting at home, other than Buffalo, and they got no pressure on Joe Burrow. With 3 backup offensive linemen in there, Joe Burrow had all day to sit back and pick whoever.
I feel bad. I gave, when Scott Grayson was here last week, I gave props, and I gave over 5 sacks because Joe Burrow likes to hold on to the football. He likes to make plays. He so you have that baked in, and then they were down 3 offense. The Bills were just unbelievable poor performance from their perspective.
That one's going to take a while to get over. The Giants and Jags can get over their loss pretty quickly when they take a step back. It's not going to happen for the Bills fans out there. But the Bills fans, sorry about that. The thing that matters now is the Philadelphia Eagle fans. And after the beatdown they put on the Giants on Saturday, this town has to be oozing with confidence, with not only the fact that the Eagles put up the regular season record that they did, a couple of Gardner Minshew losses included in there. Jalen Hurts is 15-1 in games that he started this year, which is off the chain good. They dispense with a rival while they were at it. I know some people wanted the Cowboys to win and be able to just clean sweep the division here in the postseason. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought the 49ers were going to win. That was actually even above and beyond the Eagles, my strongest play. I thought the 49ers were going to win handily. And they didn't. To Dallas's credit, they played good defense. But the 49ers made the plays late in the game. That's why you want to host those games, to have the crowd behind you. And I think the crowd helped the 49ers yesterday. But that being said, yeah, the Eagles had the easier matchup. The Giants were not as big a test for them as the Cowboys were for the 49ers. The Eagles just have to one of my few fears that I have as of right now, 6 days out, is a little overconfidence, because it was just too easy for the Eagles against the Giants this week. And the 49ers had to cling to that lead late in that game just to advance in this game. they're a well-coached team. They're a smart team. They've got great veteran leadership and a great leader on the offense in Jalen Hurts, but a little natural emotion to maybe be a little overconfident after the complete domination of the Giants.
I think maybe from the fan base's perspective, I don't think from the Eagles' perspective. They've been, and I think it stems from Jalen Hurts, but not only Jalen, some of the other veteran leaders that have been here for a while, the Kelseys, the Lane Johnsons, the Brandon Grahams, Fletcher Coxes, players like that, who know what it takes to go this far and know what it takes. From my perspective, it's the exact opposite. Like, if you struggled with the Giants, then I'd say, oh, I got some issues. But they just completely. I think Brian, you and I talk about this probably too much, but I think Brian Daboll lost the game with the coin toss. I think that was just where I think he lost the game. I think the game was over. I mean, you need to shorten the game. This is where you and I differ. When you're the better team, always defer. Always, 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 always. When you need to shorten the game and you're out, man, you take that stinking football. You hope you can develop a drive, 7-8 minute drive. And let's be honest, that's that's what everybody complains about with JG. He's willing to give up the underneath stuff. So take the underneath stuff, get that 13-play drive, take 8 minutes off the clock, get a touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 7-0. You shorten the game and you say, oh, we're in this thing. They probably still lose, but yeah, we're in this thing. I literally, and it's only a little bit, I shouldn't say literally, a little bit of hyperbole. They lost that game on the coin toss in that decision. Well, the Eagles went right down the field, dominated from there. Jalen Hurts showed off, not only going 5 for 5, but he showed the shrink wrap was off. The zone read mechanics were back. They didn't know what to do defensively. Yeah, I mean, from minute one, as I say, complete games are a myth. They don't exist. And I joked on Twitter. I even asked some of the fans, oh, they gave up that 39 yards to Saquon Barkley in the second half. When the game was so far over by that point, who cares?
Right.
Complete games don't exist. That was as close as you will ever see to a complete game in the NFL.
Well, I'm glad to hear you at least say that there should be some thought that goes into whether you defer or take the ball, that the Giants would have been well advised to put some thought into it and actually say, oh, no, why didn't you give us the ball first rather than us play defense first? That's my only point, is that there should be some thought given to the actual matchup and the two teams that are on the field and what your strengths are and the other, rather than just rote. If the coin goes up, we win, we defer. And I feel at times Eagles do that. So that's my only knock. I'll give you one spot where I will undoubtedly agree with the Philadelphia Eagles. If they play the 49ers, we know they're going to play the 49ers this week. And if after 60 minutes it's tied and they send the captains out for the coin toss, if the Eagles win the coin toss, they absolutely have to defer. It was right up Nick Sirianni's alley. Win that coin toss and defer, because remember, in a new NFL postseason, overtime rules, everybody gets a possession. So just in case you allow a touchdown on that first possession, you want to go second, because then you know what you got to do. You get to play 4 downs rather than 3 downs. You don't have to face that ball 4th and 6 at the 45-yard. Do you go for it? Do you punt? You want to wipe that off the table. You know that if you get the stop, if you defer, you get the stop. Boom! All you got to do is kick a field goal. It's over. If you give up a touchdown, you know you got all 4 downs, and you got to get a touchdown yourself. So that one is predetermined, pre-decided. Yeah. Any idiot that doesn't defer in an overtime position in the playoffs should be fired immediately. I guarantee you Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I said the same thing in Tampa last year with the game. The Eagles should have taken the football. When you're the better team. When I say when you're the better team, the problem with the Eagles this year is they're always the better team, so they should always defer. It's not rote. It's if you're the better team. They happen to always
it's
be the
road,
better
John.
team.
How many times have the Eagles won the coin toss and said, "Give us the
Yeah,
ball"?
from their perspective, I'm saying from my perspective, they've always been the better team. So I have had no issue with it this year. They've always been the better team. And we'll see. Now it's the first discussion with San Francisco. But yeah, they overreacted to the overtime issues last year's playoffs. They changed the rules. So now it's more of a college-like environment where you want to know. It's better to go second because
Yep.
you want to know what you have to do. Unless you give up that massive drive and you have no time. I guess you could argue that. But yeah, you want to know what you have to do. And so things have changed in the overreaction. Don't even get me started with the NFL. They're constant overreaction. Oh, how are you going to deal with Kansas City and Buffalo? How are you going to deal? Buffalo's not even there. Buffalo's not even there. Joe Burrow dealt with them. Kansas City's always there, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing on a high ankle sprain. I don't even know how you can do that, but we're going to see. We're going to see how taped up and how he can do it and move forward. Such an overreaction to that rule change and over legislation constantly with this league. It bothers me.
And oh, by the way, I think it's legit to talk about it because these two teams are so evenly matched. They're different in a couple aspects. There are aspects where the 49ers are better than the Eagles. There are aspects where the Eagles are better than the 49ers. But just matching up the two rosters, damn close between these two teams. So talking about a potential overtime on Sunday afternoon is not outrageous at all. All right, you got McMullen and McDonald, your Mac Birds 365 guys talking about the Final Four of the NFL Eagles championship game bound this Sunday against the 49ers. We'll talk about the Eagles matchup against the Giants, the 49ers win against the Cowboys, how we got here with our first guest. Coming up next, one of the all-time best Eagles reporters. He's doing it these days still for the 33rd team and also us here at JAKIBSports.com. Damo's next. Paul Damowitz joins us here on Birds 3.